Hello, my name is Dexter Manglikmont, and this is my professional synthesis final project for Info 204 Information Professionals at the San Jose State University iSchool Masters of Library and Information Sciences program. I decided to dive back into what I am very passionate about, which is a video game archiving and video games in the library settings, which is a new medium and it's still being accepted, but I also decided to do this as a video rather than either a podcast or a traditional PowerPoint because I actually had a lot of fun doing our team organizational analysis project on the Walt Disney Archives earlier this semester, and I love talking about it. It was pretty animated when we were actually doing the conversation, so I wanted to show more of the enthusiasm that I had in my body language that's not really possible in speaking only, such as the podcast projects or the non-speaking projects like PowerPoint. So I really wanted to show how much I really appreciate this topic. So earlier this semester, I actually did my exploratory essay on video game archives and video games in the library setting. And during that project, I mentioned Ken Haycock and Jeremy Kemp's exploration of using Second Life as a game to teach information sciences at San Jose State, where they created a world and their own avatars along with their student avatars to pretty much live a student life. I did a little bit more research and found out that Megan Margino in her study also uses video games to teach information literacy, ranging from casual games such as games that have short, clear goals and are easy to learn, to full-fledged narrative-based role-playing games, which are the hour-long intensive games. And these were used specifically to teach information literacy and information sciences. So it made me kind of realize after a while that video games are a serious medium to be used, a literary medium to be used in academia, as well as to be archived as a pop culture media, such as films and comic books, graphic novels, which I've done a lot of study with too as an undergrad. So a lot of pop culture phenomena, I truly believe, should be archived. And doing a little bit more research, I did find that Diane Robson and Patrick Durkee at the University of North Texas noted there are existing archives in a study that was very similar to our organizational analysis, where they outlined their own archive system, and this same organizational analysis included how to manage games, and new genres and technologies such as the online-only MMOs or massively multiplayer online games, as well as the indie and artistic games, which are being considered more art than games in many aspects. During the semester, we did learn a lot, specifically on week 11 when we did do when we read Marshall Breeding's Managing Technology in our textbook. Breeding actually shows that it's very important to be technologically adaptable and literate to new technologies. So some technologies such as cloud computing and proprietary software and hardware, and specifically the transition from analog mediums such as books to digital mediums such as ebooks, fits into this kind of study where things move so quickly, the technology changes so quickly that as information scientists and information professionals, we as the future of that field need to learn that. We need to learn these new technologies as well as the older ones, as exemplified during my exploratory essay talking about older gaming systems and all the other mediums that are out of date. We need to learn those. And going into my next point, where Catherine Skinner, in her article Analog and Digital Curation and Preservation, which also is in our Sandra Hirsch textbook, Skinner actually defines preservation as steps taken to ensure the long-term accessibility and usability of content, including but not restricted to activities that prevent content from deteriorating. And she also mentions, Catherine Skinner also mentions game preservations of a project called Preserving Virtual Worlds, which was done by many universities such as University of Illinois, Rochester Institute of Technology, Stanford, and University of Maryland, and their desire to archive and preserve all these video games. And we're talking about anywhere from the virtual games that are released this week all the way to the 70s and 80s of the old school games, the Ataris, the Nintendo's, ColecoVision. And it goes on to talk about emulation preservation and preservation of hardware and software environments in the physical form, such as in the American Classic Arcade Museum. And going back to Breeding's point, we do need to, as information professionals, learn to be adaptable with these, as well as learn how to preserve and maintain those older systems, for example. One final point I would want to make is we didn't talk too much about it during the semester, but I did notice that one major thing of video game archiving is exploring copyright and ethics laws in information professionals. And Liz Hamilton and Mary Mino, in their article, again, from our textbook, Sandra Hirsch's textbook, Information Professions Today, copyright and Creative Commons, they mention both authors mention that public use becomes legal after their copyright terms are over. And there's a great conversation and discussion about certain copyright laws, such as Section 109 and Section 108, that talk about information professionals and how we can use these copyright laws. And video games, being a newer genre of medium, are relatively new in the scope of history. So copyright laws are still in place. It's still a business, and there are a lot to learn about copyright laws, copyright infringement, preservation for video game archives to become a reality and to be as common as general archives and general archives and libraries. So a lot of conversation goes into copyright, and of course with copyright we also talk about piracy, and I'm going to mention Martin Garner's article on information ethics. And what Garner says in the article actually rings really true to this, which is collections represent the cultural heritage of society. So confidentiality and privacy, diversity, education, lifelong learning, intellectual freedom, preservation, professionalism, and the public good all kind of come together for information ethics, for us to be information professionals. It is why we become information professionals, to help the general public and the public good with information. And Garner actually said something very potent, which is information professionals need to bridge the gaps created by individual needs. And while I was doing more research for this project, I came up to this article by Sarah Lasco for the website Atlas Obscura, talking about the rise of pirate libraries. And pirate libraries are libraries that upload digital transfers of articles and gives access to those who cannot afford the services to view the articles. And this creates a moral dilemma. Do you pirate for the sake of information, or do you pirate because you want notoriety? And is pirating wrong if it is for the sake of information? So there's a lot of these discussions about ethics within our profession, and this goes back to video gaming. video game ethics and trying to archive video games, because since video games have this price tag, this $59.99 MSRP price tag right now, for us to archive them, can we pirate them for the sake of archiving? And I think a lot of these rules, a lot of these copyright laws and ethics are going to be something to be much more explored as I go along to this career path. But for the most part, I really am looking forward to looking at all of these, and I think information professionals, the class itself, has given me a great start on trying to make this a reality, trying to get to this video gaming archiving, to become a video game archivist and to have a big video game archiving collection for the general public to explore and to read into. I mean, there's so many things about the video games, that not just the video games itself, but auxiliary materials such as strategy guides, manual guides. I mean, even I just found this very old VHS created in 1993, which was kind of a strategy guide for Street Fighter 2, but this was before the days of YouTube and stuff, so it even preceded, you know, the strategy guides that everyone finds on YouTube nowadays. This was a strategy guide that was literally put on a VHS tape and mailed out to those who asked for it. So even those kinds of materials, I believe, are very important to the archiving study of video games. And I really enjoyed information professionals. It gave me a lot of insight on the information professional field, and I think it's given me a really good start to hopefully becoming a video gaming archivist one day. A video game archivist one day. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully we'll see more video game archives as time passes. Thank you.